30 years later, is Raekwon's Only Built for Cuban Linx still the gold standard for street rap? I think so, but let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your man Lighthouse, and you're now tuned into another episode of Everything for Everybody. I'm your host Lighthouse, and today we'll be talking about Raekwon the Chef's classic album, Only Built for Cuban Linx, featuring Ghostface Killah. Let's get one thing straight, right? Only Built for Cuban Linx didn't just drop in 1995, it detonated. Critics called it mafioso rap, fans called it scripture, and everyone in earshot understood this wasn't just another Wu-Tang solo, this was cinema. Rae and Ghost didn't just paint pictures of criminal escapism, they layered coded language, brotherhood, and sorrow underneath all that fly talk and Rico ducking. Yeah, it had the blueprint for New York's future. Nas, Jay, even Big took notes. But Cuban Linx still resonates today, not because of how hard it hit, but how deeply it cared. Strip away the crime drama and you've got one of rap's rawest portraits of brotherhood and a collective thought to do better for your own future. Rae and Ghost manifested on these beats. RZA's production, flawless. This wasn't just a rapped over beat tape, it was a labyrinth. Recorded in his Staten Island basement, the project thrived on tension between minimalism and maximalism. Gritty loops layered with spontaneous flourishes that made songs feel alive. On Ice Water, even perfection wasn't enough. RZA still pushed further. Raekwon delivered elliptical, dense storytelling that blurred lines between fable and fact. His style, like jazz in rhyme form, fragmented, internal, and syncopated. Ghost, on the other hand, bulldozed through verses with instinct and emotion. He was every bit of Ray's equal, but his verses pumped adrenaline into songs to complement Ray's calculated delivery. The features are all classic, and I remember the first time listening to Nas' verse on Verbal Intercourse. I felt a sense of intellectual edification. The way Ray continues after him, incredible. When Ghost said, "Don't keep Jackson in the lab, don't want to see Tupac," I was like, oh, he said Tupac. That was crazy. He said Tupac's name in his song. I was like, oh, this is crazy. And this is when Tupac was in jail. So I was just like, it wasn't a diss or anything. It was just like, oh shit, a name drop. Right? To me, this album wasn't a concept record so much as a coded journal, an anthology of street parables where the bond and aspiration between Rae and Ghost was the glue. You hear it on Rainy Days where Ghost spirals and Rae steps in like a mature brother with righteous calm. You feel it on Wisdom Body where Ghost's delivery cracks into something menacing yet beautiful. I remember being 12 and telling my pops that I needed this album. Not wanted it, I needed it. And I had to pitch my case like a young executive because of the parental advisory. When he finally caved in and bought the purple tape, it was like earning stripes. The cassette wasn't just music, it was a membership card into something bigger than me, something sacred, something cultural. And this episode is not just about the rap album, it's about the coding, the poetry, the pain, and the partnership that made Cuban Linx more than a classic. It made it necessary. It was like, you just had to have it. It was beautiful to look at, and just to play it in your boombox was just like an experience. It was like, you had to be a part of this. Like, that was something you had to have. Like, you had to have your Jordans, you had to have good sneakers and good fits back in school and all that. You had to have that purple tape. And that's what it was for me. It was like, you ain't got the purple tape? Like, you ain't listening, you not studying, you not listening to this music? That shit was super important to us when we was coming up. So I'm happy and thankful to my dad for listening to me and just getting this album for me, Even now, the sequencing and curation of this particular Wu-Tang chapter lives with me. Etched into my memory as a masterclass in cinematic storytelling through sound. Cuban Linx wasn't just an album, it's an immersive blueprint for how samples, interludes, and textures could turn street poetry into a motion picture. Now check this out. This is me before Ray's album dropped, right? Look at that guy right there. Ain't he handsome? And then this is me after the Ray album dropped, after I've listened to it, after I studied every song. This is the type of vibe I was on when I was going to school. Look at my face, man. Oh, mean ass kid, man. I mean, I was a good kid, but this definitely, this music definitely made me feel like if anybody played with me, I'm punching them in their face, straight up. It gave me all the toughness I needed. This was definitely a dope album. At 12, I couldn't fully decode the slang, the strategy, or the deeper context, but I felt the weight of it. I absorbed the energy, and even without fully grasping the narrative, something in the way that they moved, the way that they spoke, the way that they built, resonated with my subconscious. Those bars planted seeds I didn't recognize until later on. As an adult, I now see the jewels hidden in plain sight. and realized that this album wasn't just entertaining me, it was sharpening my skill set in my mind, you know? So for that, you know, when they said Wu-Tang's for the kids, they did make music that was for the children. You know, I was 12 years old, but I was raised by them through their lyricism. That's my thoughts on Only Built for Cuban Linx. I know we're approaching the 30th year anniversary, or we're in the 30th year anniversary for this album's release. And, you know, I just had to say something about it because this album definitely means a lot to me. It still means a lot to me. And so tell me what you guys feel about this album. What are some highlights from Only Built for Cuban Linx that resonate with you then and now? You know, like, give me some stories in the comments. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. And I'm going to see y'all later. All right? Peace. We outta here.